Good morning. I am very excited to be here. I did not know if they would ever give me a microphone again to talk about Haiti. It was about a year and a half ago that Pastor Ted gave me the chance to give a ministry update on Haiti. He told me about 7 to 10 minutes. I went for 24. So Pastor Cody, I don't know what you have planned to say today. Curry didn't actually give me a time limit, so here we go. I promise I will not drag us too long. My name is Matt Weber. If for some reason you have not met me, I'm not just Pastor Jerry's son-in-law or Jamie's husband. I am also here as the president of Hope United. Hope United is an organization that was founded 8 years ago to support a ministry in Haiti. So we are the American side of the ministry that finances and creates the pathway for our Haitian brothers and sisters to do ministry in Haiti, supporting an underdeveloped community there. Our church began partnership with Hope United 7 years ago, almost exactly 7 years ago. It was July of 2017. Our church helped start this ministry, and at that time in 2017, Haiti was still recovering from the earthquake that happened in 2010. It killed about 220,000 people. Most of the people in this community that we are ministering to, they at least started there as refugees from the capital city. Refugees where the earthquake had taken their home, and this is where they had moved to resettle. We can go to the next slide. You can see on this picture right here, the area where they moved, it was a wilderness. And from this wilderness, a community of thousands of people has sprung up. We can go to the next slide. Our church, you probably can't see it in this next slide, but there's a stage with lots of speakers set up there. Our church helped the very first revival event that the church held in this community. So our church has partnered with this ministry in Haiti, with this church in Haiti, from its literal inception. From the moment it first started ministering to that community, our church, Cornerstone, has been right there partnering with them. You'll see in that wilderness, a church was founded, due in large part, like I said, to your partnership and generosity. We can go to the next slide. Hope United operates on a very simple principle, and that is to make disciples of God. That's our focus. That's what we want to do. Everything that we do comes back to that question, are we making disciples of God? And the way that we have found most effective to do that when we're on this mission field in Haiti is to focus on the spiritual needs of the community, to focus on the educational needs of the community, and to focus on the physical needs. So that's helping support not just the local church, but also the local school and the local health and nutritional systems in that area. To those various projects, today those various projects continue to thrive. These projects, like I said, the Clean Water Ministry, if you remember, this was another one of the very first projects that our church did. It was almost 8 years ago. Our church funded drilling a well for this community. 8 years later, it remains the only source of free, clean drinking water in the community. Any other source of drinking water in that community is dirty, or they have to buy it from a vendor. Even just last summer, if you recall, last summer in Vacation Bible School, this is all kind of coming around full circle. Vacation Bible School a year ago, we had the opportunity to repair that water system. I can tell you today that water system is now pumping about 2,700 gallons of water per day for this community. It's amazing. We have been there since the moment this church was formed, from the moment that we started digging water out of the ground. Our church has been there supporting this community. We can go to, we can see right here on this slide. Today those projects continue. The church has a regular attendance of over 200 people. The school this past year has 317 students enrolled. Another 21 have graduated out of our school, which stops at the 9th grade, and we are continuing to support their education through high school. On the next slide, you can see our children getting a meal. Our children, for many of our children, this is the only meal that they'll have that day. Frequently, the parents prioritize feeding the other children in the family so that the 1 or 2 children who do get to go to the school, they'll get their meal there at the school so that they can prioritize feeding the others at home. It's not the meal that you and I would be comfortable with or happy to receive, but it is nutritional. It meets their needs. Cornerstone has supported our ministry in other ways. Cornerstone, we can go to the next slide. Cornerstone has sent numerous mission teams, not recently, but since the beginning of the ministry. We've supported by sending numerous mission teams to work with our children. We have operated Vacation Bible School. We have had teacher training and vocational training for the men and women of the community. We've done construction projects. You have given generously through numerous fundraisers and yard sales, through student sponsorship. Many of you in this room sponsor a child to go to school. Through the 1% budgetary donation that our church makes every single month that comes out of the tithes and offerings of this church. God's provision for this ministry, at times we have not known where the money was going to come from. God has met every single one of our needs, however, and it is in no small part due to the generosity of this congregation. We might not be the largest church in Charlotte, but we are a generous church. And we meet the needs of people not just in our local community, but you have generously helped meet the needs of people across the seas in Haiti. Now, when we began our ministry 8 years ago, I don't know, I haven't asked the other people, in this congregation, we have 3 other board members of Hope United. Rocky and Doreen Ray and my mom, Susan, all sit on the board of Hope United in addition to myself. So I haven't asked them individually what their opinion would be, but I would say our biggest burden, our biggest challenge working in Haiti 8 years ago was the poverty and the corruption in the government that caused the poverty and sustains the poverty. Because poverty like that in Haiti, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens over generations. And it doesn't stay that way if there's not corruption in place that encourages it even. But as our ministry has progressed over the last 8 years, I think we would all agree that the obstacle has changed a little bit. It's not just the poverty anymore that we are working against. Since 2021, our greatest obstacle, I think, is the fact that Haiti has slid into an extreme state of instability, both politically and safety-wise, the violence that has spread across the country. That level of instability is now the biggest thing that we have to worry against. In July of 2021, so again, 8 years ago the ministry started. 4 years ago, it was really just, I think it was a week ago was the 4-year anniversary. Haiti's president was assassinated. They have not had an elected president since then. There's been an appointed prime minister who was appointed as a temporary president. He was overthrown. There is now a transitional council. Who knows what the political results of that will be. But right now, this level of instability, it is at the critical point for the people who live there. Armed gangs out of this instability have grown. The best way to describe them would be warlords. All right? It's not like gangs like we think of some gang activity here in the United States. These are warlords who are carving up the country into little pieces to have their own little kingdom. And they are fighting over the capital city of Port-au-Prince. Today, about 80% of the city, think about that. Port-au-Prince is a city of, I think it's about 3 million people live in the Port-au-Prince area. About 80% of that city has been given up to the gangs. The government doesn't even try to take them back. These warlords fought each other for the longest time, and the civilian population was decimated by being caught up in the crossfire. One community fighting another community, the gangs occupying a community, fighting each other. Then, if things couldn't get worse, in March of 2024, that violence escalated to a new level because the gangs united. They formed an alliance against the government. So instead of fighting themselves and the government, they turned all of their attention to the government. And what they've been able to do is successfully shut down the country. They have closed the airport. They have released, they broke into and released all of the prisoners from the national prison. We're talking the worst of the worst. The people who have life sentences for heinous crimes. All those people were flooded back onto the streets just to sow chaos. And the result was they overthrew the temporary president. I mentioned the temporary president who took power after the president was assassinated. So the political upheaval that's taken place in this country, the chaos that's resulted, the violence and kidnapping that they use as their tools, it's left people in a state of constant fear. Last year alone, in 2024, there were 5,600 civilians, so not the gang members, 5,600 people who were killed. 700,000 people were displaced just last year. Think of that. That's the city of Charlotte. 700,000 people in the capital city were displaced. Where are they living now? We don't know. Some of them are living in hospitals because the hospitals have been shut down. Think of all the social services that require stability. Schools, social services. Those buildings, for their original function, they don't exist anymore. So people have been displaced from gang violence, and so you might see 1,000 people crammed into what used to be a hospital. That's now where they're living in squalor. This is the way Haitian people are living, and at the same time, while all of this is happening, it's significantly impacting our ministry. Because while the violence is crippling in Haiti, it's actually probably not the deepest thing that's affected our ministry. Because the violence, for God be praised, the violence for the large part has spared our community. Our community is just on the outskirts of Port-au-Prince. They are under control of one of the gangs, so it's not like they're living free. It's not like travel on the road is easy or free. It's not. It's dangerous. But for the most part, the huge instability that we see in the capital city has passed us right by. Our school, for the last year and a half, has not had to close its doors one day. In the capital city of Port-au-Prince, schools maybe 50% of the time are open. My family sponsors 2 boys that we sponsored since before Hope United existed. Those boys, one school closed down, so they were displaced to another school. That school, to another city, excuse me. That school was closed down, so now they're not going to school. They're just doing the best they can. And that's the life of most Haitian children. Our school, God be praised, has not had any of those experiences. The door has stayed open. We've become that community center, that city on a hill that people rely on for their everyday, for their needs. And like I said, this is in no small part because of your generosity. This church continues to fund this mission, this ministry, on a monthly basis. But while the violence is probably not the deepest thing that we have, our biggest challenge, it's actually energy. And by what I mean by that is the energy that we have to sustain the donations and the support for our ministry while there's not any travel back and forth to Haiti. It's been over 4 years since I took my last trip to Haiti. My first trip to Haiti was in 1998, and I thought I would be making trips every year or trips several times a year for the rest of my life. It's been over 4 years since I've been able to go to Haiti. You know, the way our ministry is really able to build energy is by having a team. You know, usually these teams are made up of people who go to several different churches. They go to Haiti, they have this mountaintop experience serving the Lord and serving the Haitian people, and they bring that energy back with them to the United States. And then the energy spreads to their different churches. And then those separate churches, they start supporting the ministry, or they start making their own mission team to go and support the ministry. Not being able to take those regular trips, it hurts us as a ministry to be able to maintain that level of energy. Because naturally, people want to stay involved in something that they can touch and they can see and they can do. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's a challenge for us to maintain that level of energy behind our ministry. So here's what I would ask. What I would ask is for you to pray for Haiti. And I would ask for you to pray for Hope United. I know many of you have come up to me and regularly talked to me and asked me about it. I know there are people who regularly, faithfully support this ministry through prayer. And so I pray for that to continue. I pray for peace. This is not going to, the long journey that Haiti has ahead of it is going to start with peace in the land. This country has experienced tragedy upon tragedy just in our lifetime. And these last 4 years, I feel they are especially cruel because the violence has closed that country off to the rest of the world. And so the people of Haiti suffer in silence. They suffer in silence because we aren't there to tell their story. And so pray for Haiti. Pray for peace. And I would ask for you to pray for Hope United. I'm not going to lie to you. God has provided every one of our needs, but it is tight. Just this past week, we had to vote as a board to temporarily close our health clinic. This health clinic wasn't a full-time clinic. It operated 1 day per week where we had a doctor come in. But even that financial challenge of $1,000 a month to support that health clinic, we weren't able to meet at this moment. So we are temporarily having to close that until we can find another source of funding for that ministry project. So pray for Hope United. And if you feel so led as to give to Hope United, I wouldn't turn that down either. We are sustained primarily through child sponsorship. If you already sponsor a child, thank you. I appreciate your support. Every donation, no matter how large or how small, helps meet the ministry on the ground. So $35 a month is what our child sponsorship program costs. If you don't sponsor a child, or if you'd like to sponsor another child, I would be happy to answer any questions. I told you who the board members in our congregation are, my mom, the Rays. Any of us would be happy to talk to you about how you could sponsor a child in Haiti. I'm not going to lie, if you wanted to write a $1,000 check a month to reopen the clinic, I wouldn't turn that down either. But like I said, anything that you can do, your prayer is what's most important. But if you are also able to give, we would appreciate that as well. And finally, I would like to just say thank you. Because I know how much this church has sacrificed over the years to support this ministry. I know how deeply some people in this church have given because they are passionate about seeing this project succeed. I thank you for that. I thank you for your partnership, and I thank you for your prayers over the last 8 years, and I'm very excited to see what God has in store for us over the next 8 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.